So good morning, I'm Will Roger, Director, Policy Communications, American Farm Bureau Federation. We have with us the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food of Canada. Lawrence MacAulay is a Member of Parliament for Cardigan, first elected to the House of Commons in November of 1988 to represent Cardigan in Eastern PEI, Prince Edward Island, and won his 9th consecutive election in October 2015. Needless to say, Canadian and American agricultural relations are of great interest with the renegotiation of NAFTA. So again, we are pleased to have Mr. MacAulay here. Sir.
Thank you very much, Will, and I'm certainly pleased to be here. In fact, it's an honor to be here on this American Farm Bureau conference. Having been a farmer all my life until I entered politics, I certainly understand some of the problems of agriculture, and it's a pleasure to be able to, in the long time I had in government in Canada, to now to be able to represent the farmers. So again, pleasure to be here, and I'm open to attempt to answer any question that you have. Yes. Well, of course, as you're no doubt aware, I'm not at the table, but we feed information to the table, and it's somewhat difficult to know just for sure what will come up. Of course, we are very interested in a successful completion of NAFTA, as the people I just spoke to are too. On the agricultural side, we understand the importance of trade and free trade and what NAFTA has done, but to indicate what in fact will come up, it's difficult to know. Truly. Yes.
Jordan Bowie with the Tennessee and USA Today Network. Along the same vein, obviously, Canada being a large trade partner with the United States, what concerns do you have now, and what do you hope to hear from the President as he speaks to some of these issues?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, and I'm certainly pleased that the President is coming here. That's a good sign. And of course, as far as the negotiations are concerned, what I've heard here is what I've heard in Mexico and what I've heard right across Canada, is that on the agricultural side and the trade between the North American countries have been a massive benefit to the economy. The trade between Canada and the U.S. trade to Canada and Mexico has quadrupled, and with the three countries combined, it has tripled. We know that. The word is not only from politicians, but from farmers and individuals and business people right across North America is be careful not to break something that's not broken. Yes?
Sarah Mock with RPTV. I'm curious whether, as far as NAFTA goes, the Canadian administration is preparing any kind of contingency plan on the chance that renegotiations don't work out.
Well, of course, we're very optimistic, understanding that what we hear right across North America, that we will have successful negotiations. We certainly do not want to damper any possibility that these trade talks will be successful, because not only in the agricultural sector, I think no matter what sector you talk about, how cars are manufactured, which is not my responsibility, but how often do these things go across the border, the effect. All these industries, all these people have a major role in making sure that NAFTA is successful. So I don't think we want to get into contingency plans. The plan that we want is to make sure that we build on, remodel NAFTA in the best, fix anything that needs to be repaired. It's 23 years in the being, and there's things that probably need to happen and need to be adjusted, but to make sure that we don't damper any trade openings, but to make sure we increase trade between countries, because trade brings prosperity to your country and to our country and to our citizens. Yes, sir.
Ron Hayes out of Oklahoma City in the middle of the U.S. What are the must-haves for Canada to be a party of a revamped NAFTA 2.0?
Well, Ron, look, quite honestly, I appreciate your call, and must have, must have success, must have a completion that's beneficial not only to us, but to the three countries. What we have to be, we don't want to lay any markers down that if we don't get this, we're not going to do that. The fact is, we are fully aware of the asset that NAFTA has been. What we're doing is making sure that our input does something to increase trade. And I just spoke, as you know, to the group, and Canada and the U.S. work together very well, and Mexico. It's so important that we continue to work hard together and to be ready to supply food not only to each other, but the world at large, and the Asian community in particular. The demand for food is going to be immense. The population is going to be 9 billion in 20-some years. We need to work together. We need to work together more. We work together well, but there's many things, as I indicated when I spoke, the regulatory process and other things that we need to work. And I think it's a continual task to keep working on these issues. But it's important that we work together. And doing that, we will put more money in the pockets of farmers and increase the GDP in every country, in all our three countries. Thank you.
Jerry Hagstrom from the Hagstrom Report. President Trump has been very vocal in his criticisms of Canadian dairy. Do you see any prospects for changes to the Canadian dairy program?
Appreciate your question. Not a surprise, but we have in the supply management system, as I said many times, a very good system. It's worked very well for our consumers. It's worked very well for our farmers. So we have indicated quite publicly as a government, again indicating I'm not at the table, but we are fully supporting the supply management system. All countries in agriculture have certain things that they're pretty careful about or protect. Like we have the supply management, there could be sugar in certain areas, there's other things in other areas. Yes?
Could you just say, if President Trump withdraws from NAFTA, what would be the repercussions for agriculture?
Well, I indicated that it was going to be a massive reduction in jobs. I don't have the figures right before me, but we don't want to, we want to be very careful not to speculate on what might happen. What I want to see happen and what I'm working for and what I'm doing here is to try to make sure that it doesn't collapse, it does not withdraw. Now, I can't indicate what a certain person is going to do, but I believe that the public in general, you saw what happened in the meeting. They had so many tweets that went to Washington. It's quite obvious that this sector and many, many other sectors, because I've spoken to not only agriculture, but business sectors right across the United States of America, and I have yet to run into a person that thinks we should dissolve NAFTA. So I think that will have an effect on the end result, because mostly people want to make money. And NAFTA has put money in the pockets of businesses right across North America. Yes?
A follow-up on Jerry's thoughts on dairy. Spencer Chase with AgriPulse in Washington. I'm trying not to sound too adversarial here, but is it a realistic negotiating perspective from the Canadian government to walk into these negotiations knowing that dairy was a major priority for the United States and to expect to walk away with no changes to the program? I mean, is there any flexibility at all within the Canadian position on dairy?
All I can tell you is, on the dairy side, as I've indicated publicly many times, and I'm sure you know this, is that we have what we consider to be a very stable dairy industry, poultry industry, and egg industry in our country, and we support it.
Does stable mean fair in this case?
Yes, but looking at the world and looking at what other countries do in other commodities, there are always small priorities, small issues in every country. Like sugar in the U.S. and other countries have other things. Agriculture is a touchy issue. Everybody wants to make sure that they take care of their agricultural sector, and that's what we intend to do too. And it has worked very well. Fact of the matter is, we import much more dairy products from your country than we import, that you import. Yes, sir.
A two-part question that falls on the deadline. Do you expect these negotiations to end on the new deadline at the end of March? And where do you see the Trans-Pacific Partnership now that there's Canada and 10 others and not the U.S.?
Well, of course, to indicate whether the negotiations will end at the appropriate time, they have been extended. They could be extended again. So not being at the table, it would be inappropriate, but you know, anything, I think, anything could happen. But I just want to be careful. The truth is, it's a very vital issue for not only Canada, but for the United States and Mexico. And I think you had another point? Oh, TPP, yes, I'm sorry. Well, of course, there was TPP 12, and now we have TPP 11. And we are a trading nation, and we intend to proceed in seeking trade with any country around the world in an appropriate fashion. And that's simply where TPP is. And as you know, there have been negotiations. There's some issues, a number of issues still not resolved. But are we going ahead? Yes.
Time for one more question?
Oh, you found another one.
I just want to, are you staying for President Trump's speech, and will you be available for comment afterwards?
Oh, I'll be available for comment afterwards. Now, I have to leave here. I'm not just, it's tomorrow at a certain time. I don't have my agenda right ahead of me, but I think it's in the middle of the afternoon I'm leaving, and I think the thing has changed, and I was wishing to be, but I think he's here in the middle of the afternoon too. And we had quite a job getting here, so we want to make sure that we get back home again. But your question of am I available after? The answer is yes. And we're available whether we're here or in Canada. Yes.
Yeah, last question. Could you just speak to, what do Canadian farmers think about the NAFTA renegotiations? What's the feeling amongst the people you serve as far as looking at this trade deal again?
Well, I've stated it a number of times, and I don't think I can add much to it. The fact is, the American farmers, are they concerned about price? Yes. Are we concerned about issues in other countries and things that happen and like lentils? And there's always concerns with farmers no matter where you go. And being a farmer, I fully understand that. They are concerned that we could do something that could hurt a trading relationship that has been very beneficial to them and to your own country and to the Mexicans. That would be the bottom line on their concern. And they urged me, and as I've said, I don't think the language, that line that we have between the two countries, that hasn't changed the wording of farmers. Farmers have indicated in the United States, and business people have indicated in the United States and in Mexico, to be sure that we don't break something that's not broken. To be sure if we can do something to make it better, and we all agree that yes, and there has been changes to NAFTA. There's things that need to be done, but to be careful that we don't do anything to hurt trade, because trade makes money, trade puts money in your pocket.
Can I just ask one more question? There are people in the United States who say that the real problem with the U.S. dairy industry is a decline in the consumption of milk. Do you have this phenomenon in Canada too? Is milk consumption declining?
Quite honestly, I am not sure. I have not heard that there's any major decline.
People in the U.S. are switching to plant-based products. So
Could be.
almond milk and soy milk, all those things.
Well, there is, I don't believe so, but I don't think we have that problem. But because our milk industry is not in difficulty, and like supply and demand is handled pretty well, and the farmers receive reasonable remuneration. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.